Live from downtown Vancouver at the Vancouver Film School campus, it's time for EP Live.
Blake will tell you. Okay, we're in? All right, we're live. Thanks, Blake. That was my signal today. Yeah. Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas. This is my buddy Bear Safi, and you have come to the show that brings you the latest in everything cool, and we've got lots of cool stuff to talk about today. We've got two great guests for the price of none on EP Live today, which is going to be very fun. Mike Mika from Other Ocean, and we've got James Zahn, a toy expert that has just had a lot of fun at Toy Fair 2020. I really wish that I had gone. So he's going to take us there by proxy, which is going to be great. We're going to get into our rundown first of all, though, and today it is dedicated to Kazuhisa Hashimoto, and I'm sorry if I butchered the name there. This is the Konami programmer who created the Konami cheat code. So we have many cheats to thank him for. And
he helped us complete a lot of games.
Yeah, he helped us complete a lot of games, and what an incredible, I guess, a language that the guy created for us, right? Like we shared it, which is just amazing. And also, I think we're about to cross 50,000 subscribers.
Give a round of applause for that, guys.
That's about to happen
for Blake
maybe
and Vic
during the show. And I've realized that I'm in my 5th year as a YouTuber.
Oh.
I don't know what the hell happened. I made TV forever, and now I'm a YouTube guy, which is just crazy. How did I get here, Bear? Where am I?
You're a youngling now.
Yeah.
You're in elementary school like me.
Maybe one day I'll be an influencer.
Yes,
one day would be great. All right, let's get started with your rundown. All right, earlier this week, Microsoft released new details on their next-gen console, the Xbox Series X. The biggest revelation is that the system will have a 12-teraflop GPU. Can you do sign language or anything like that?
I don't know what teraflop means, okay. Vic. I've been trying to find out this whole time.
It's roughly twice the power of the existing Xbox One X and 8 times the power of the launch model Xbox One. Hold on, more specs coming. There will also be a custom-designed CPU based on the AMD Zen 2 and Radeon RDNA 2 architecture. And all this basically means higher frame rates and bigger game worlds with far greater detail. Microsoft has also revealed that the system will have a solid-state drive for faster load times. We like that. These tech specs are pretty similar to what rival Sony has already announced for the next-gen system, the PlayStation 5, although we're still waiting to find out the biggest detail on both, the price, and I guess when can we get them, right? And more info on the Xbox Series X will be announced by Microsoft at E3. Both the Series X and the PlayStation 5 will hit stores this holiday season, or will they, Bear Safi?
Some impressive specs that were listed.
Mm-hmm.
I have to imagine that Microsoft and Sony are likely going to sell this thing at a loss for the first year or so.
Yeah, they should.
Because I can't see this going past the infamous $599 that was years ago. But I do think it's going to be around the $500 range.
In Canada, it could be $599.
That's true. That's a great point.
Right?
Yeah,
I think it could be $499 in the States.
I think it will be, yeah. I think it'll be $499 in the States, maybe $549 max.
Right.
But I totally can see them taking a loss.
What do they have to do to kind of shock us with the types of software that's available on these new systems?
Hard. It's so difficult. The position that Microsoft's in right now, I feel like they've been having a hard time getting people excited about their franchises, their Halos, even their Banjo-Kazooies. Where has Fable been the last decade? It's kind of, that pride of Xbox. I feel like they really lost that in the 360 era, after the 360 era.
They have, in terms of the licensed stuff that they have and the character-based stuff that they have, it's certainly not the same as it was.
Yeah.
But they've also been doing some incredible things like the Game Pass and the ability to play anywhere.
And the accessible controller that they made. You
Yes.
gotta, thank them for things like that. Microsoft is amazing at what they do.
And the Elite controller. I mean, they've got a lot of really interesting strategies there that I think, and xCloud is kicking butt as well.
Game Pass.
And they've been acquiring everybody, right? So
some big
hopefully
companies.
we're going to have a lot of big announcements that they're going to put some really solid work out into the world, and hopefully it won't be $600 in Canada. That's going to be a very heavy number for people to get to. But I think the big mystery about all of these releases, and maybe perhaps why we haven't heard about the PlayStation 5 yet, and I didn't really want to get dark and heavy on this, but it's the coronavirus, the COVID-19 stuff is affecting Chinese manufacturing right now. So I've got to think that that's starting to affect a little bit of the production around some of these devices.
Yeah, the price, right? Like
and
the price
yeah.
might go higher because
if
they might not
push it through for sure.
Yeah,
right.
Because I mean, I know the components and getting the work is much more difficult right now. So very interesting time.
Yes,
you know,
it's very dark to get
dark
into
time.
that thought right now.
Yeah, and I would be really strange to see consoles be released in early 2021. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but
yeah,
we'll see the future. And obviously, CD Projekt Red commented that there will be free upgrades for certain existing Xbox One games.
Basically laying down the gauntlet.
Yes.
For everybody else
which
out
was
there.
awesome.
Yeah.
I love CG Projekt Red for doing that because I feel like everyone's going to need to follow suit or
Yeah.
they're going to look terrible.
We have a fantastic, I don't want to spoil it, but we have a fantastic Sunday feature that's coming up this weekend, which kind of relates to a little bit of this discussion. So please watch that when we post it. But also, because we crossed the 50,000 threshold, we're going to start running Electric Playground from season 6. That was in 2001. Fresh episodes, well, they're not that fresh, but they've been around for a long time. They're going to start rolling out on Saturdays. So every Saturday, just like when they first were released in 2001, you'll be able to wake up and get your jammies and hit YouTube.
Give a round of applause
and
for
watch,
that, guys. Yeah.
Get your cereal and watch classic EP starting this Saturday. And that's a thank you to everybody that's supporting us, subscribing and sharing and sending us your love. Appreciate that. All right, now if you're looking for something to play on next-gen hardware, Bayonetta and Astral Chain developer Platinum Games have an ambitious new project on the way. They've announced Project GG, a massive new game and the first new one that they're going to self-publish. Yes, it will apparently see giant Godzilla-style monsters wreak havoc on cities with players taking the role of robot-like heroes out to stop them. It's being directed by Platinum's Hideki Kamiya and is billed as the third entry in his superhero trilogy, following his past projects, Beautiful Joe and Wonderful 101. We interviewed Kamiya at Platinum last year, where he told us that he's a big fan of Ultraman. He didn't block us in person, which was really nice of him not to do. And it looks like Project GG will borrow heavily from that franchise. No release window has been named, but this is, honestly, they're my favorite company on Earth right now.
Yeah, I mean, not being blocked by Kamiya means you're a special person on this earth. So definitely check out his Twitter.
I keep, because we have that interview with him and Naba as well, and it was just such a thrill to go to Platinum and to see these guys in their environment and to see their desks and all the toys that they collect. Kamiya actually collects old arcade game boards. So he's got like, I think he had Frogger and Donkey Kong and all this stuff. He was just leafing through them and showing me. I'm like, oh my God.
Cool. And you know what? I want to say that I feel like Platinum does best when they have that creative reign and freedom.
Yeah.
I feel like their worst projects were ones when they were kind of limited to a certain IP or franchise.
Right.
Talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Transformers.
Yes.
Like they were kind of like okay games.
You think, and I think I asked him about that in the interview. Please watch the interview. I think it was a pretty special thing that they let us come in and talk with them. But you know, you think that these dream IP, these dream projects associated with Platinum will just be, you know, perfection. But even they express their, you know, dismay that things didn't come together the way that they wanted to. And they certainly were pretty honest with me about Scalebound as well. Maybe we'll see
they're
that
a very
come
cool
back.
and transparent company, and I think it was a recent wake-up call for them after the Wonderful 101 Kickstarter that just went by. I think it's still going on.
Yes.
And it was just a massive success. I think within the first, day, they over-exceeded their expectations.
I can't wait to play that again.
And I think they're now really realizing how much people love their stuff and the fact that they have the ability to self-publish.
I think it's very exciting, and I'm super excited to see Bayonetta 3. I hope there's a sequel to Astral Chain, which was our game of the year for last year.
So many good franchises, it's
They're
crazy.
a wonderful. I just reviewed Vanquish and Bayonetta 10th year anniversary edition the other day, and it was like, wow, these guys are incredible. And I'm glad they are not only still making great games this many years later, but they're thriving, and they're in charge of their own destiny until Microsoft buys it.
I hope not, actually. I want them to kind of have free reign.
Or Nintendo will buy. When you're that good, though, you're like a target.
That's true.
Right?
That's
Everybody's like, when do we buy these guys? All right, now Indy is going to be missing an old companion on his next big adventure. Steven Spielberg has dropped out as director of the upcoming 5th Indiana Jones movie. He'll still stay on as a producer, but according to Variety, he wants to step aside to give directorial control control over to a new generation of filmmakers. No new director has been signed on yet. Maybe by now it's official, but Logan and Ford versus Ferrari director James Mangold is reportedly in talks to take the job. Harrison Ford is still on board as the iconic archaeologist, but it's unclear if this news will delay the planned release date next summer. This will make it the first big-screen Indiana Jones adventure not directed by Steven Spielberg. And I'm wondering if he took a little bit of a cue from Bob Iger, just sort of stepping down and handing the reins to... what is Bob Chapek is the new CEO? Like, maybe he just felt like, okay, I've done enough and I'm walking away.
It's a little sad, though, because you really, kind of combined Spielberg and Indiana Jones together, and I was hoping that this was going to be his big farewell or whatnot. He is 73 years old right now.
Yeah.
So...
Harrison Ford, 77.
Yes, Harrison Ford, 77. So it's a little heartbreaking, but one thing that Quentin Tarantino always talked about is a lot of directors kind of staying past their welcome. And as they kind of get older in their careers, they really start to not make films as impactful anymore. And I feel like Spielberg had quite a few movies in the last decade that were like okay, and he had some really good ones, but he definitely wasn't the same director. I feel like he was.
Your okay is every other director's dream career this last 10 years that he's had, and it has been a little bit all over the map. But the thing about Spielberg is he comes in quickly with his projects. He comes in under budget, and he moves from project to project to project. And there's a lot to learn still from watching this master at work. I don't know if you guys checked out any of the behind the scenes on Ready Player One, which I have to be honest, it didn't blow me away, that movie. But watching Spielberg play with VR technology to kind of craft that film was just so inspirational because he was still a kid in a candy store. He was still so fired up to deliver something wonderful. That movie, by the way, would have been way better if another director had taken it and really given Spielberg the love that film kind of sort of you would expect out of that movie, because it was about all kinds of pop culture stuff from the 80s, but Spielberg put the kibosh on any kind of love coming towards him because he was directing it. It was a little too inside baseball.
But that was also a little bit of the charm. One thing I liked about Ready Player One, in contrast, is the fact that it felt like such a movie that was almost made in the 90s that was released today, just with the acting and you can tell the direction given that it had that charm that from Spielberg that I wanted. Yeah,
he's a master of that. Everybody tries to replicate the magic that Spielberg puts into his movies, and it's really hard to do. But Mangold did deliver Logan, and he did deliver Ford versus Ferrari, which I haven't seen yet. And
good.
I really want to see that movie. But the movie that I think of his that I forget the name of it. It's the Tom Cruise and is it Cameron Diaz, where he's this Night and Day. Yeah, God, that was incredible. Where it was such a cool movie. Like it's kind of a creepy one because he keeps drugging her and waking her up in different places. So it's very weird that way. But the way that it was put together, like Tom Cruise will be in a moment, and then all of a sudden he's doing like stunt work and flying out of a car and
He would be a great director, I think, and he was also a director I feel like who's improved so much as his projects went on. Like obviously he also did the Wolverine in 2013, which was like but then he took a 5 or 4 year break. And he was just releasing amazing films.
Logan is, in the top 3 or 4 best superhero movies ever made, I think. It's just an incredible work of art. And if he does something that honors the character of Indiana Jones as portrayed by Harrison Ford with this next movie that's akin to that, I'll be very happy.
What's going to be sad, though? We're not going to see behind the scenes of Spielberg.
Oh, he'll be there.
Hopefully.
He'll be there. Well, he's producing, so he'll still be there, and he'll be being
producing
a
can
guiding
mean so
force.
many things these days, though.
But this is his baby.
That's true.
And I know Lucas will be there, too. Because those guys created it on the beach in Hawaii that many years ago, It's my favorite franchise, my favorite character, and I want him to make it, and I want it to be great, and I want to put all the haters to bed that hated Crystal Skull. I want it to be the perfect answer to the.
It's been a decade since Crystal Skull.
I know, man.
I
teared up when that was coming up.
Really?
I remember, at Comic-Con when Harrison Ford was up on screen.
You teared up for Shia. You love Shia.
No, I know it was Harrison Ford. I love that man. Anyways, he just kicked ass in The Call of the Wild. He was fantastic in that. All right, always in motion is the Force, and the same holds. Let me try that as Yoda. Always in motion is the Force. And the same holds true for the entire Star Wars franchise. Disney and Lucasfilm have announced Star Wars The High Republic, a massive publishing campaign that will encompass new books, comics, and other merchandise. No, it's not about space stoners. The High Republic will take place during the height of the Galactic Republic after the Old Republic era and about 200 years before the events of the films. This means the writers will be free to come up with new characters and stories that don't overlap with existing Star Wars canon, although don't be surprised if existing characters like Yoda appear. Lucasfilm launched a similar transmedia initiative in the mid-90s with the Shadows of the Empire books, comics, and video games, although right now the High Republic is only confirmed to be getting books and comics. The first will hit shelves this fall. As for movies, no new Star Wars films have been officially announced, although there are rumors that a new film, possibly based on the High Republic, is in the works for release in 2022. There's a lot of stuff going on in secret with Star Wars right now. There's a new top secret Star Wars video game. There's, I forget the names of the directors, but they're indie directors that have got the ability to write and direct their own Star Wars film right now. It's sort of stealthily being made right now. But this was kind of cool that they released a trailer around this.
This is the start of something new.
Yeah.
You know, something new that's big. I'm kind of surprised that we might see a movie as early as 2022.
Yeah.
But this could be the foundation of, you know, the next big era for Star Wars, right? Like, I mean, like 10 years from now,
it's
the next big trilogy.
It's such a big topic.
Yeah.
I think you and I need to schedule a Star Wars
Chat.
sit down to kind of think through all of the stuff that just happened with the Skywalker saga. Maybe I could get Sam Witwer to Skype in with us or something like that. All the new Clone Wars stuff is happening right now. But I had this thought about The Force Awakens and how it was all projected out as a trilogy right from the get-go, and how that sort of put all of those filmmakers and all of Disney and all of Lucasfilm behind the eight ball, because they went out and said, we're making a trilogy, you know, and we're going to put all these characters that you're going to love. And we didn't get to know them, really.
And we didn't get to know them. And the fact that they didn't plan out what was going to happen from the beginning of the trilogy to the end, I think was a huge mistake.
And
I
feel like if they had just said, we're making The Force Awakens, and we'll see what happens, things would have turned out differently.
For sure.
Right? Like, we would have had time to digest this new universe and these new things. And I don't want Lucasfilm to overdo it again and overplan this.
That's true. Yeah.
And I have a friend in the video game industry that posted something on Facebook, and it was really kind of profound. He showed the stuff to his teenage children, or the High Republic trailer, and what they said, it really struck a chord. It was like, the last movie was called The Rise of Skywalker, and Rey presents herself as a Skywalker. Spoiler, if anybody hasn't seen it, sorry. Okay? And that's the way it ends. Yeah. And they're saying that the Skywalker saga is over. It's behind us. Skywalker's done. But it got us all built up to the fact that the Skywalker universe was there, and they're just putting it to bed. And it's like, the only reason they're putting it to bed is because of the kind of mixed reception, not because that there's no sort of threads to continue on with the Skywalker world, but it's because people are, and that's kind of sad.
We've talked about it before. It is really sad that I can talk to a Star Wars fan now.
Yeah.
And it's either they liked the, sequel trilogy, or you meet, hardcore fans that absolutely despise everything that Disney has done with Star Wars. And it's really sad that it's so divided.
Yeah.
And you can't really just kind of celebrate a franchise as much as I wish I could.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So
there's a lot of good stuff happening, though, in Star Wars. We're going to have some folks that are working on Star Wars in various incarnations on EP soon. I'm working on that behind the scenes. But I'm very excited about the second season of The Mandalorian. This trailer has some really cool high points and stuff for me, but I have to be honest, going back in time in Star Wars is not, even the Old Republic, even Knights of the Old Republic, I enjoyed that stuff, but I don't have that emotional connection to it like I have with the Skywalker saga.
Well,
I don't.
That's going to come down to how good the writing is.
Yeah.
Right? And that's obviously why it's the biggest task.
Yeah.
We didn't think we were going to really care about a lot of the Rogue One characters that much. But look at you. You've watched that movie 20 times.
I
and
love
you've
that movie.
cried every time you've watched it,
Yes.
right?
How do you know? Are you watching it?
I know you won't stop talking about Rogue One.
I love that movie.
So
good. And I'm so fired up for the Diego Luna, especially after just completing Narcos and seeing him as the badass in that. I can't wait for the Cassian Andor show.
It's going to be a bright future, I think,
yes,
for Star Wars.
Absolutely. The Force will be with us. Always. Whether we want it or not. Okay, we've got lots of good stuff happening this weekend. In fact, we've got your weekend plans.
Welcome to Weekend Plans, where we show you the best new games, movies, and TV shows to check out this week. Following the failure of their big-budget Dark Universe, Universal Pictures is taking a smaller approach to their classic horror franchises. The Invisible Man is a new take on the iconic monster movie starring handmaid Elizabeth Moss as a woman terrorized by her jealous former boyfriend. The only problem, her former boyfriend happens to be a mad scientist who's found a way to make himself invisible.
He has figured out a way to be invisible.
Because of his imperceptible nature, no one believes her when she says he's out to get her, so she slowly begins to unravel, adding a strong dose of psychological horror to the material. This is the first of many low-budget monster movie remakes that Universal is planning to make in partnership with horror producer Jason Blum, so hopefully for their sake, the film won't be invisible to audiences. The Clue-style whodunit Knives Out from The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson hits Blu-ray this week. It stars James Bond himself, Daniel Craig, as a folksy detective out to solve the mysterious death of a wealthy author, and every member of his family is a suspect. The film boasts an all-star cast that includes the likes of Jamie Lee Curtis, Chris Evans, and Michael Shannon, not to mention a fiendishly clever script and breathtaking production design and cinematography. Knives Out was such a hit in theaters that Rian Johnson is already working on an entire series of sequels that will see Craig return to solve new cases, so don't expect the knives to be put back in anytime soon.
My presence will be ornamental.
Thanks to the success of 2014's Wasteland 2 and the impending release of Wasteland 3, developer In Exile Entertainment has gone back and remade the original Wasteland game with Wasteland Remastered. It completely remakes the original 1988 game from the ground up with new graphics and audio, although the art style is designed to replicate the classic feel of the original. The original Wasteland was one of the very first top-down RPGs, at least in video game form, kicking off an entire genre that led to other games like Fallout and Baldur's Gate. Needless to say, the new remastered version has a big legacy to live up to. Wasteland isn't the only classic game you can jump back into. Capcom has already released collections of the original Mega Man series and the Mega Man X series, so now the Mega Man Zero and ZX series are getting in on the action. The Mega Man Zero/ZX Legacy Collection is a new bundle that brings together 6 classic games. Mega Man Zero 1, 2, 3, and 4, first released on the Game Boy Advance in the early 2000s, as well as Mega Man ZX and ZX Advent, first released on the Nintendo DS in the mid-2000s. All the games have been up-res for modern systems, and they've also added new save assists and an easier casual mode because, let's face it, some of those old Mega Man games can get a little challenging. Netflix has another season of their cyberpunk series Altered Carbon up their sleeve. The new episodes continue the story of Kovacs, a former resistance fighter out to uncover a vast futuristic conspiracy, and because the show takes place in a world where people can transfer their consciousness from one body to another, Kovacs is being played by Falcon himself, Anthony Mackie, taking over from his previous body, Joel Kinnaman. Characters changing bodies and actors is one of the central gimmicks of the show, so hopefully audiences can follow along. This kind of heady science fiction tends to fare better on streaming platforms like Netflix than on traditional television, although for now Netflix has yet to officially announce if a third season will become a reality. All right, you guys, we've got a very nice special treat for you today. A great guest and a great friend of EP, Mr. Mike Mika. He heads up Other Ocean and he makes video games. And now, in his part-time, he's working on movies and TV shows, which is just incredible, man. Everybody, please welcome Mike Mika. Good to see you, my friend.
Thank you. Good to see you.
So, Mike, I want to talk about, there's a million different tangents that we can go on here, but let's get into Glitch Techs. This is a new animated series that has just launched on Netflix just over the weekend here, actually. The same weekend, you guys picked the same weekend that they launched Clone Wars, and you said this will be a good time to get an animated show out there. How has it, well, first of all, tell us what Glitch Techs is.
Glitch Techs follows the exploits of 2 kids, Miko and 5, who get enlisted by a secret organization called the Glitch Techs that hunt down glitches from video games that have breached into the real world, and they have to capture them and bring it back. So it's kind of like Ghostbusters meets Scott Pilgrim and Men in Black.
That is awesome. It does have a Men in Black kind of vibe to it. Are you friends with what's the creator's name? Dan Milano?
Dan Milano and Eric Robles are the 2 showrunners. Okay. Amazing guys. They're the ones who brought me out very early and just wanted to pick my brain and kind of see what I could help out with on the project. And they were so amazing because, like, for me, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to work on movies and TV shows, and I happened to get into video games. So this was like a lifelong ambition of mine to be able to get into this, and I think they kind of picked up on that and were like, all right, come along for the ride.
That's great. So were they kind of tapping into your expertise and your wisdom about video games and trying to make everything feel a little bit more authentic?
That's really what they wanted to do, because they felt that they wanted a show that was going to be really genuine about video game and gaming culture, but also something that wasn't going to be representing games in a toxic way as well. So they reached out to me after I had done a talk over at Nickelodeon about this game I worked on called iDarb, and part of that talk was about inclusivity and how like we want to make games where anybody can be whatever they want, whether it's a glass of orange juice or their hero or whatever. And that really resonated with them. And so they invited me in, and we started talking about the process of making video games, the technology behind video games, and how that could be parlayed into this incredible world that they wanted to build.
What are you noticing with the way that Hollywood treats video games? Because you're also, can I mention that you've helped out on Free Guy a little bit?
Absolutely, yeah. That's
Okay.
Free Guy is a movie coming out this July. It's a Ryan Reynolds movie about he plays a banker who suddenly realizes that he's just an NPC in a video game. And so it's like very, very similar thing going on across Hollywood now, where video games are now part of lifestyle, and they're starting to make more and more movies about video games, but they don't want to just create like the Tomb Raider movie or whatever. They want to actually show how video games are part of lifestyle, and also like how people kind of visualize games in the game worlds and all that stuff. So I'm kind of like, I've kind of become the de facto guy that's like the Jurassic Park paleontologist that would consult on Jurassic Park about dinosaurs.
Right on.
Now I'm starting to become the guy who's just consulting about video games and how they work. Because by the time I get scripts and stuff, it's usually like the very the classic kind of like misinterpretation of what video games are. Like if they put a sound into a TV show or movie, it's always that Pac-Man sound you've heard for the last 20 years. Like that. So my job is to go in there and be like, no, let's not use that anymore. And people don't use joysticks anymore, and explain what all the technology terms are and everything like that.
That is great, man. Did this start with, you worked on a documentary a few years ago about the cartridges buried in the desert. Ernie Klein is a friend of yours as well, the guy that wrote Ready Player One. Did it start around that time that you were starting to get tapped for this stuff?
It did, and that actually really helped, because Zach Penn, who was the host and narrator and director of that movie, Atari Game Over, he went on to work on several other things, and he would always throw my name into the mix for stuff, and like that led to all these weird opportunities all over the place. There's some things I can't announce yet, but like even more weird stuff coming up that's like, I can't believe I get the opportunity to do all this.
That is awesome. So have you actually gone into the writers' rooms with glitch techs and sort of poured over the scripts and told people they're wrong? Have you had to do that a little bit?
I have, and that was again, like Dan Milano, who's heading up a lot of the writing for the show. He would just reach out and be like, okay, here's where we are, here's what we want to do, and they would fly me down to Burbank, and we would have our big writing room meetings. We would talk about like basically we would start with, let's talk about the episodes and the concepts per episode. Let's talk about what technology and what kind of gaming lingo and all sorts of stuff would apply to that episode. And they're really talented writers that they have would go off and work on the episode, and they would send scripts back to me, and they'd let me redline everything. And I could make suggestions. I could do all stuff. It was really kind of them, actually, because I'm sitting there going like, these guys are so much better than I am at writing. But like they threw it all at me and just got my opinions on things, and that bled over into all kinds of stuff that like was really more of a benefit, I think, for me and their kindness to me than anything. But at the same time, I was able to contribute a lot because of it.
That is awesome.
Mike, why do you think it took so long for the industry to really embrace video games and animation and cartoons and media? All I could really think of was Reboot before this that really embraced gaming.
I think it really took a while for producers who were like institutional producers in Hollywood to age out. Because now we have people who grew up with video games that understand them to a higher level, or at least understand the impact they have, and are more willing to embrace it. Like if you think about it, like Nickelodeon is a pretty old school style company. The kind of cartoons they make, I think they have like some breakouts here and there. Like SpongeBob was obviously really big, but for them to get their heads around glitch decks took a lot, and that was amazing on their part.
That is awesome. Did you get to visit the set of Free Guy? Did you get to meet Ryan Reynolds and hang out a little bit?
I did not. I did, however, provide plenty of props for the set. Like at one point, we were sending stuff out of our studio out to Boston because that's where they're filming it, and it's just like the schedule was just crazy to be out there in Boston, and I'm on the opposite coast. But you'll see stuff in the movie that's actually from our office, dressing the sets.
Are you going to put that stuff on eBay, or what's the plan?
Mike is one of the biggest game memorabilia collectors in the world. I don't know if everybody knows what Mike, I mean, he runs a game studio. We're going to talk about the Samurai Shodown collection, but this is the man, you probably saw news about this, who programmed Donkey Kong so that Princess Peach saves Mario. Was it
Crazy.
Pauline saving Mario?
Yeah, Pauline.
Pauline saving Mario because his daughter wanted to play the girl. And so he made that as a special gift. And you also proposed to your wife in a video game too, didn't you?
I did. I hit a proposal in a puzzle game for Game Boy Color, Clax, and because she would always tell me that she didn't like any of the games I made unless they were puzzle games. She's like, make a puzzle game and I'll play it. So I'm like, all right, this is the one. So I put the proposal in there, and then she never touched it for 4 years. So finally, Tips Chicks magazine had to put a code and just put her name above, going, this code is for you. And I had to leave that open for her with the game out. So
Oh my God, that's amazing. That's awesome.
So cool.
That's so cool, brother. Okay. Well, everybody watch Glitch Techs. It's on Netflix right now. Don't watch it now. You're watching EP Live right now. After EP Live, watch Glitch Tech. But definitely pay attention to what Mike is working on. But let's talk about a game that I know you have lots going on in Other Ocean. You're always cranking on stuff. But you can tell us a little bit about Samurai Shodown Collection. I was just at SNK before Christmas and sat down with the creator of Samurai Shodown. I had an incredible conversation, incredible time. It's one of my favorite fighting franchises of all time. What's it like to build this collection?
Oh, it was the same for me. Growing up, like everybody really likes Street Fighter. I like Street Fighter, but Samurai Shodown was my fighting game, and I really loved that game. And so when we started working with SNK, we had shipped a game called SNK 40th Anniversary Collection just recently.
Yep.
The talk kind of went to, what would you guys do? If you could do anything with our franchise, which one would you do? And immediately it was like Samurai Shodown. We got to do Samurai Shodown. And what we do is we don't just put a collection of the games that exist out there and put it all together. What we try to do is go and find materials, background information, design documentation. We try to do, now we're doing stuff like documentaries, including all stuff in basically a love letter to all these games. So we collected so much stuff. We went around the world finding all these materials, and along the way, we found some really incredible things that we haven't announced yet, but these really incredible things that you can only get in this collection that nobody knows exists. And then also on top of that, we've found a way to present the games in a way that nobody's seen before, that we're also excited about. And that's all going to come together and be out later this year. Summer, it's what it's looking like. We're just putting some finishing touches on it. And the problem with like these kind of projects is as you're going, it's like an archaeological project. Yeah. You're digging stuff up constantly. So you just, when you think you're done with the project, you find something amazing. You're like, we got to put this in here. So it just kind of has that kind of problem with it right now.
Do you, I know that you love this retro scene and mining into the classic libraries of some of these game studios as much as I do. I'm wondering if you have a dream project or is there a dream studio or a dream publisher that you would love to kind of collect all of their stuff and release it?
Oh, if I'm looking at, like, I have several dreams. One dream is a very big project that I was just talking about earlier today with a very big company. That aside, because I can't talk about it, the next thing is really I love all the Atari franchises, and I wish I could just own all those. Yeah. Because I would love to go after those and recreate and make new versions of those games. And second to that is pretty much the Warner collection as well, which is Midway and Williams.
Yes.
Those two libraries of games are so close to me, and I really would love to have those and do like a new Joust or a new Robotron and all that sort of stuff. Because I think a lot of people don't realize how good those games still are today, yep. But also to modernize those games and bring them more into the future and put stuff that people expect on top of those games and visually enhance these games a bit. I think you'd have a whole new audience for years to come, and it's just a matter of getting those like just out there and getting people to believe in that vision.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to reach out to you to talk a little bit more about some of these dreams that you're having, because I share some of those dreams, and I think the more that we talk about it, the more these things will help to be manifested. But Mike Mika, you've got lots on the go, and please join me in thanking him for joining us on EP Live. Yeah. Go check out Glitch Techs and watch Free Guy this summer, and look for Samurai Shodown Collection. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Victor. Appreciate it.
See you soon.
Take care.
All right, you guys, speaking of the retro scene, we've got a buried treasure for you right now.
I booted up my Xbox 360 over the weekend, and I wanted to check out a couple of games, and one that I landed on and played the minute I saw the icon was Snoopy Flying Ace, and that is my buried treasure today. It's only available for the Xbox 360. It was out through Xbox Live Arcade. Came out in 2010, developed by a company called Smart Bomb Interactive, and it's Snoopy in a plane flying around, but it's definitely comic bookian, and it's also through the lens of the Peanuts gang, and lots of Peanuts fiction over the years has featured Snoopy atop of his doghouse as a flying ace. And so that is the conceit and the concept here, except it's not a doghouse. It's like, they're kind of like fancified doghouses in the shape of World War I dogfighting planes, and they're wonderful. And one of the cool things about this game is that you can customize your craft, and you can give yourself all kinds of cool weapons, rockets, and the, super fast machine guns. You can leave air mines behind you, and you get into dogfights with all kinds of enemies, or you can get into bombing missions. There's this beautiful one over Paris, which is just, it's all surreal, it's all through this cartoon lens, but we're talking about a horrifying idea and horrifying imagery of war, but it's cute. You'll fly through caves and tunnels, you'll go through Arctic landscapes, you'll go on races through rings, very a la Superman 64. The mechanics are really good. They're really, really solid. Definitely tipping its hat to the classic Crimson Skies game for the original Xbox. If you've never played that, that's another buried treasure. I really love this game, and what's cool about it is that there's lots of single-player stuff. There's local multiplayer if you want to do some split-screen stuff. There's was online play, and I did you can still log on to Xbox Live and check out and see if there's anybody in the universe playing Snoopy Flying Ace, and there isn't. You might see me out there, but there really isn't. But you know what? There's still lots of good single-player fun, and you can replay missions, and you can kind of time yourself on how fast you can take down all the bad guys. You get all kinds of rewards and unlocks as you blast your way through all of the different missions across the European map that you're on. I really, really love this game, and it's, unfortunate that it's so locked within this ecosystem. I really hope whatever Xbox is planning for their future, that they take a look and they curate titles like this and lots of other ones, and they let people re-access games like this and maybe give them some new multiplayer componentry or, a fresh sort of up-res coat of paint or something. This is wonderful, and my kid looked up from her Switch. She was busy making levels in Super Mario Maker 2, but she looked up and she was like, yeah, I approve of this cool flying game. You're doing some great stunts. That's the other thing, is you can do barrel rolls and flips, and it's beautiful. This is an absolute classic of a game, but you got to dig out your Xbox 360 to play it, and I don't even know if you can buy it anymore, but if you can find it, you're going to have a good time. Snoopy Flying Ace, a great buried treasure. Hey, all right. You guys have got to check out that Snoopy game. Makes you wonder. You want to have some access to some of that classic
Makes
stuff.
me wonder what kind of games you played during the last generation.
I play everything, man. All right, we've got a fantastic guest on the show right now with us. James Zahn is coming to us from Chicago, Illinois, but just minutes ago, he was in New York City at Toy Fair 2020. James, it is wonderful to have you here with us. You are an editor-in-chief for The Toy Book, which is an industry publication, so you look at clearly, looking at the background at all the stuff behind you, you look at many toys in your life.
Yep, I'm one of the senior editors there, but I appreciate the bump up there.
Okay, yeah.
But yes, we look at toys from basically birth onto, age 100. However old you can get, we all play with toys. So we're looking at the whole spectrum. Obviously here we want to talk about some of the collector stuff that was going on at Toy Fair New York, and it was abundant. The last couple toy fairs have been great, but this year in particular, it was really exciting. Despite all of the doom and gloom that's been going on in the world, there was a lot of fun to be had at Toy Fair. There were great products being shown, and really a little something for everyone. But the one thing that they all seem to have in common on the collector note, it's all retro.
It is
legacy
retro.
brands.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's an interesting time because we're really shifting to digital for all of the other things that we used to collect, all the movies and books and comics and music and games, all of that stuff is all sort of living in the digital ether, but collectibles and toys will always be something that we will put on our shelves. And it feels like if there's outlets to purchase that stuff, the toy business should be able to endure and keep thriving.
And they do. I mean, here in the U.S., the toy industry is like a $25 billion a year business.
Wow.
So anything where the folks are saying, oh, kids don't play with toys anymore, that's not really true. Kids are always going to be playing with toys. And a lot of it, too, now has shifted towards that merger of digital and physical. It's the connected play thing, they call it.
Yep.
But collectibles, action figures, it's always going to exist in some form. It's always just evolving. And
Awesome.
some of the stuff we've seen this year on the retro note, I wanted to start kind of with Super 7. Those folks are turning out some great stuff. They've got this Shogun Optimus Prime from Transformers that I was admiring as walking through there. They tap into that with some of the co-licensing that we see, and then their reaction figures. They've got Back to the Future coming out for the 35th anniversary. They're doing all of these great things with musicians and bands and artists. So we're seeing heavy metal, Anthrax, Slayer, Motorhead, really cool stuff. And then, of course, the folks at NECA also getting into that action. Lots of cool retro stuff there. Back to the Future again. They've got an animated series coming out.
It's the 35th anniversary of Back to the Future right now, so everybody's tapping into that.
Everybody is tapping into that. So Super 7, NECA, you got Funko in on the action. There's a board game coming out, tons of Funko Pops. Playmobil is doing, a lot of people don't realize that Playmobil merges kids and collectors. So they've got the DeLorean coming out.
Oh, that's
5
awesome.
years ago, Playmobil didn't do licensing.
Right.
Now they do. They started with Ghostbusters a couple years ago, and this year they've got Scooby-Doo and Back to the Future. So they know how to get the kids and the grown-ups, and then get the grown-ups back to playing with their kids again.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite or a few favorites that you saw at Toy Fair? What was the stuff that you really loved?
I'm really big on the G.I. Joe relaunch that's going on right now.
Yep.
Hasbro is finally sort of reactivating that. It's been a dormant brand for a while.
Right.
They've got their collector series coming out, which is very much akin to the Marvel Legends or the Star Wars Black Series.
Oh, wow.
6-inch, super articulated figures. They're gorgeous. They're, of course, tapping into the fact that the Snake Eyes movie is coming out from Paramount later this year.
Right.
They just launched a mobile game last month, which visually looks a lot like Fortnite, but the 80s G.I. Joe characters in it.
Oh,
and
wow.
then they're licensing out G.I. Joe, too. So by the end of the year, and we're talking about the legacy here, you're going to start seeing familiar vehicles from the 80s being done in die-cast. Jada Toys is a partner on that. There's also some stuff you're probably going to see from some other licensees like Jazzwares and stuff where...
So Hasbro isn't making all the G.I. Joe stuff. They're actually sharing it across other brands and other companies.
It's the outbound licensing that they do, kind of like
Wow.
kind of like they do with Nerf, where Hasbro makes the blasters, but then they've got somebody else that's making the Nerf bicycle.
Okay.
It's all of that reciprocal licensing that they do these days.
That's awesome. Well, Hasbro also, big in the news recently because of the Disney deals that they did with Marvel, but especially with Lucasfilm and Star Wars.
Yep.
Did you check out the Baby Yoda, the articulated Baby Yoda that was there?
I did, and actually, it's funny that you say that because we on our new issue of the Pop Insider, we have a cover that is the first ever non-Hasbro official shot of the Black Series Baby Yoda.
Okay.
That Mitchell Wu did for us on our cover art. So I've seen everything from the little 1.1 inch that they're doing up to that new animatronic.
Yep.
And it's very impressive. So whether you're a kid or a collector, there is something featuring the child for you. I mean, they got those 2.2 inch figures that are posed, very stylized. They've got plush, they've got talking plush. The only thing I fear, and this is with a lot of this stuff right now, is that eventually we will reach saturation.
Yeah.
Because Hasbro's not the only player in the game. Mattel has an 11-inch Roto head plush. Shop Disney's got one, of course. Funko has a regular pop, and then they've got a 10-inch pop. Build-A-Bear Workshop has a child.
Oh, wow.
By the end of the year, you and I are going to be making a child. With something. I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll probably have it.
We just met, James.
I know.
It's very weird, buddy.
Everybody's
quickly.
doing it.
It's Tinder these days.
What is your favorite? I mean, you've got a TIE fighter in the background there. Is Star Wars your favorite legacy brand and franchise, or
It
what do
is,
you love
and
the
I
most?
also I'm really into like the kind of Star Cars stuff on the Hot Wheels note. That's
Yep.
actually what's in those display cases behind me.
Cool.
I like a lot of the entertainment branded diecast stuff. Jada does a Hollywood Ride series. Johnny Lightning has their Screen Machines.
Nice.
I really like those because it taps into all of those different fandoms, but in a small space, whereas you can see in those cases, each one of those cases holds 50.
Yeah.
So there's like about 150 cars in that small space behind me.
Wow.
Whereas if I was collecting something larger, I'd have less of them because there's
Right.
nowhere to put them.
Right. That's kind of one of
also,
the. That's kind of one of the reasons why I love the Mezco 112 line, which is kind of like the high end. It's like the Hot
Yep.
Toys, the 12-inch, but it's shrunken so you can collect a bunch of them and they're not filling up your whole space.
Yeah, and Mezco was blowing it up at Toy Fair too. They were one of the hot items they were showing this year was they did a giant version of their mascot Gomez, which they love putting that guy out. If you've ever seen him, he's like this kind of bug type of character.
Yep.
And their booth was mobbed.
Very cool.
They're always showing up. Have you seen their 5-point series at Mezco?
I think I saw some pictures today, which is the classic Batman and Superman stuff.
Yep, they've been showing those for about a year, but they're finally reaching to the point of going into production. They've got some cool brands. They've got Scooby-Doo in there, and it's old school 5 points of articulation, so they just took the name as 5 points.
Oh, very good. I like
lots
it.
of fun.
NECA is a company that we love here at EP, and when I saw some of the images of the stuff that was there, it looked like they're more diverse than they ever have been. Was this one of their best showings, you think?
I think so, and I mean they always come in and they kill it, and they've got the Ninja Turtles stuff. Right now they're doing a lot with the early 90s movies, which I loved. I remember fondly seeing those in the theaters. They're doing Secret of the Ooze, they're doing the original ones. Always great. They've got Aliens, Predator, still expanding. This time though, they did Jaws, which I think was surprising some people.
That was cool.
They've got the new Rowdy Roddy Piper figure from They Live, which is awesome.
Wow.
Horror, they're bringing back Ghostface from Scream, which they did a while back, but now they've got kind of a premium version of that. And then like some of the stuff we mentioned before, of course, they're getting the big licenses this year with like Back to the Future and stuff because that's relevant, but they're going to start just tapping into everything, and they've got a child too. They did a Chia Pet version.
No way.
Child. Yeah,
Oh my God.
If people don't realize sometimes that Chia Pet and the Clapper are part of NECA now.
That is so weird.
So-
What do you guys think? Are we done with the child, or is everybody still super hyped to get a child action figure, a Baby Yoda? We got two hands for Baby Yoda right now.
They really missed the mark on that one, huh?
It should have been now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it should have been when Mandalorian was running.
Yeah.
We're talking about it, and the sort of weird thing is that everybody wants the child, but nobody actually has it yet.
Yeah.
And we've seen all of this merchandise, but it's still not legitimately in anybody's hands yet.
Season 2 is going to come soon, and I think the hype around that and the new reveals in Mandalorian, I think it's going to get us all falling in love again with the characters and stuff. Honestly, I'm more
Absolutely.
fired up about like Mandalorian, like the actual Mandalorian characters. I can't wait for more figures and stuff that way. I think that would be great.
The only company that has a lot of Mandalorians out right now actually is Lego.
Yeah.
They have a Mandalorian minifigure set.
It's crazy.
And it's interesting to see that they were the first ones to market with that. That is something that I would have fully expected would been in a Hasbro wheelhouse. But a couple years ago, they were doing more multi-packs where they would go to like an Entertainment Earth or something and do a 5-pack and have it out there. Now it seems like they're hesitant to get that stuff out there right away. It tends to like simmer for a while before we see it.
Do you think the closure of Toys R Us has really severely negatively impacted the toy business, or is it kind of water under the bridge and everybody's moving on and finding new ways to get the stuff out there?
No, it's a twofold, and it's kind of interesting from where I'm at here in the States versus up there in Canada. Toys R Us Canada became a fully owned Canadian company with Fairfax bought.
Still rocking here.
So the lineage has continued. Here in the States, there was way more stores. There was like 800 of them, and that's a huge amount of square footage that got lost. And a lot of what we're never going to see recovered is the impulse buys that you'd go in there. Like, I have 2 daughters. We'd go in there to buy a birthday gift for somebody, and I'm leaving instead of just with the birthday gift, I've got 2 more items going out the door for my kids.
Yeah.
We're not going to see that. And there was a huge rush at the end of 2018 to capture square footage and capture that business. And here we saw like Party City opened 50 Toy City stores at the end of 2018.
Right.
They were pop-ups, but they didn't return in 2019. So that ended up being a huge shrinkage of square footage. And then we had the Targets and the Walmarts of the world going after it, and they contracted again. And we're seeing that in the numbers because the NPD group numbers that came back for 2019 showed a 4% decrease in sales for the U.S. market.
Right.
So there is a gap. There are sales that are never going to be recovered. But at the same time, like we were kind of talking about earlier, kids are going to still be buying toys.
Yeah.
And collectors are going to be buying toys, but they have different options as far as where to go for them. Our Targets here have a collector's section that's pretty robust. Tons of NECA product in that, actually. Then they work in the Funkos and everything, but it's a different type of thing. Walmart also has a little bit of a electronics department adjacent collector zone, and then we've got GameStop, and to an extent, also FYE, which was just purchased by the folks that own Sunrise Records up there in Canada.
Right.
So we're seeing an evolution of it. It's going to be playing out for a while. And of course, it's not to discount the fact that Toys R Us also has opened 2 new stores in the States that are a totally different experience, but they're very much going experiential towards the kids and family market. I don't think they're doing much, looking towards collectors.
What would you recommend to hardcore toy collectors? What's the one thing you saw out of Toy Fair that you think is going to be very difficult to find, and if you do find it, hold on to it because it's going to be very valuable?
I'm actually going to take maybe an unpopular route on this and say that I don't think this stuff is going to be that valuable.
Yeah.
Because we're making things that already come with a high ticket price on them.
Oh, okay.
And it's not like it was years ago. The stuff that's really valuable now is because it wasn't super mass produced, or people didn't take care of it and keep it in the package. So that, led to the scarcity of it. The new stuff, people are buying it, they're not taking it out of the box. So you're dropping, $300 on a Sideshow figure or something, and you're not unboxing it. And then there's, 5,000 other guys that are doing the same thing. So I don't necessarily see it as a speculative market anymore. I think the big surprises will be the stuff that's actually geared towards kids. An example would be Spin Master's new Batman and DC Comics line.
Okay.
They have some really cool figures coming out, but they're geared towards kids.
Right.
Now, if those end up in a package and stashed away, I'd say that has a better chance of being valuable 20 years from now than any of this, any of the NECA Super 7 stuff.
Yeah, I guess that makes a lot of sense, right? It's all the stuff that we grew up with as kids that's valuable now, so it's going to be the same thing because the kids take them out of the package and start eating them.
Correct.
So if you don't
that's
do
exactly
that,
it.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, James, I'm going to definitely call on you again if I can, my friend, because you're clearly an expert on this industry.
I would love that.
And I love toys, and we love toys here at EP. But thank you so much for joining us today, my friend.
Thanks for inviting me on. I really love being here.
All right, pal. Well, we'll see you again soon. All right.
Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Okay, what time is it? Oh, it's almost 5:30. Okay, so thank you again to our two wonderful guests. I'm sorry I hogged the whole
that was nice to see. Oh, thank you. I just wanted to see two adults talk about toys. I was in a trance actually.
I love toys. I
know you do.
I love action figures.
You still need to make a video about your entire collection. I don't think you've ever done that yet.
It's because it's a big mess and it's all over the damn place. But one day I will.
People don't know.
But people have seen little bits and pieces of that. Toy Fair is a wonderful event, and there are still a lot of stories to kind of dive into. I'll let you guys know. I've had Todd McFarlane on the show many times over the years, so I've reached out to his folks, and I'm going to try to get Todd McFarlane on EP. I don't know if he's going to come up to Vancouver anytime soon, but we can probably work out some Skype stuff there. That's why I didn't get into the Todd McFarlane toys, but he's got the DC Comics license, and he's working on a bunch of really cool stuff. So we'll get Todd back on.
I think some Doom stuff and things like that.
Yeah, and he's got the Spawn movie that's in the works. And anyways, lots to go into there. But thank you again to James and to Mike for being on EP today. Wonderful stuff. Thank you all for coming down today. We are doing something special with our Vancouver, audience members that come in to watch the show here at the VFS Cafe at 390 West Hastings. We we're at the beginning stages of the EPN Movie Club. And so we're working with different studios, and thank you to our pals at Universal Pictures because they gave us some movie tickets, and we're all going to go and see The Invisible Man tonight, and so you'll see the review for that film very soon. But this is going to be something that we're going to do on an ongoing basis. Next week, we're going to have some passes to give away for the new Disney Pixar movie, Onward, so that's going out to members of the audience. So please come down and join us at the VFS Cafe if you're in the Vancouver area. Thank you so much for, I don't know what are we past 50?
I think we might have just reached it, Vic.
Did we get to 50K?
The plaid cleanse we were talking about last time. It's going to happen.
Let's see. I think I can't. This iPad's so old I can't
Vic
figure it out.
is going horizontal to vertical. What an old man.
All right. No, I still don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
We're almost there.
I don't know. We're getting so close. We're at 49. No, we're at 50,000.
We're at 50.
Thank you.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. And I don't know how it happened. I guess it was pulling the Sunday features together, which are a fun new thing that we started this season, and reaching out to the friends that we have across the industry and getting a bunch of new voices and stuff. And there's really fun to work on.
It's all the hard work, Vic, and the EP family is such a great community.
People sharing stuff,
People sharing stuff. There's a Discord
sweet.
Server, the EP viewers are amazing.
Love you guys, and very, very happy to continue doing this and to try to build fun shows for everybody and bring in some cool guests. And there's always great things to talk about. But we'll be back next week. So I don't know who our guest is yet. I'm still locking all that down. But please tune in for next week's EP Live. We're going to have lots of cool content for you, including Episode 1 of Season 6 from 2001. You can watch that on our channel on Saturday. But thank you so much for watching. Please share this video and like and subscribe if you dig it. And thank you to all of our EPN members. We will see you soon. Have a great time. And until then, play forever.
Nice.